got numerous individuals on the road. You want me to take those out?
Take them out.
Impact. Oh, dude.
Kevin, COVID zombies. Let's. Where are we with it, man?
So, to your viewers, that's just a slide about how they can get in touch with me. I'm available through multiple channels. I'm available. Looking at with respect to trying to understand the encoding of the brain and these deep structures and how they relate to the cortex are still missing some sort of theoretical and demonstrable component. Okay, so do shrooms help create new axons? Yes, they do. And if Guna shows up, if you're here, dude, thank you very much. I have to say your letter arrived, and I can say I'm very grateful. Let's see, but let me just see if I'm missing some questions here right now. I think they manifest. So this whole idea of manifesting reality with your will, it's called phenomenological thinking. So mind manifesting. Okay, now these are metaphysical arguments because it's virtually impossible to demonstrate at the level of the boring level which Hameroff just described. Right? We can't manifest into existence. I can't manifest a second camera to appear, or a newer microphone to appear, or headphones that work properly. There are sort of limits, okay, and this is where you're sort of going to see this pseudoscience being pushed forward without any experimental experience, and pushing it onto gullible people, right? So every time he's saying Dr. Paul, right, and talking about C60 Purple Power, what a fucking stupid name, man. Okay, so let's just listen to what he has to say, right?
So for people,
because I've prefaced it with what the subject that he's talking about, which is this idea of quantum entanglement, quantum intelligence, etc. Okay.
They don't know. Anesthesiologists, obviously, they put people to sleep while they're, when they're in surgery, right? Well, Hameroff had the idea that, well, once you go to a certain wave pattern, you're actually dead. So it's basically this. You have a brain wave, you're on, and then you're dead. You're alive.
Which is total fucking horseshit, right? That's not what's happening. Okay, he's talking about he's trying to explain the emergent consciousness, which Hameroff explains as the Bing moment. And the Bing moment, surprisingly enough, is around this 25 millisecond time frame. That's what he talks about as being the physiological signature of the microtubulin, right? But it's not dead, right? And that type of sort of sketchy description of the science is just absurd. And for people to be listening to this and buying the stupid products that they're selling, which if you're watching Control fans, go to here, or you can talk to our Burgle. He'll sell you the best fullerene, and you can buy it for $40 for a gram. Mix it up in some olive oil. But this is what these people are selling you, right? And it's not they're just grifting you for cash, basically. And we've gone through what these carbon compound or allotropes, of carbon can do in the brain or in physiological solution when exposed to electromagnetic fields. I'd be putting nothing like this into my brain at all, nor would I be putting silver as a augmenter. So let's what a fucking retarded face, man. But listen to this.
You're dead. You're alive, you're dead. But if you flatline for long enough, then you have cellular processes that will start to break down, and you no longer can have another alive.
So a complete misunderstanding of the physiology and types of cells, etc. So some cells fire 100 times a second, and some fire once a minute. So the cell that's firing once a minute, is that a dead cell? Okay, this to me is obnoxious to listen to, right? For someone to sort of take these ideas and run with them in a manner in which to grift these stupid products, right?
Live moment. So the idea is that you have this like quantum connection. I'm butchering on how to explain this, but
yes, yeah, very much.
But you have a quantum connection with, quote, nature or the cosmos, just like atoms or spins at the quantum level could be distant, and they know they change their spin, right? So he's saying that when the brain is firing, you're actually on an on state, in a quantum on state, and then
my ears. Right. So so then let's listen. Let's see if we can extract more from Hameroff right now.
Phenomenal. It gives consciousness real-time control and a potential connection to fundamental space-time geometry, quantum space-time geometry, through Roger's objective reduction. This is consistent with Eastern spiritual traditions. Although Roger doesn't like to talk about it, I've taken the liberty of observing the implications of what he said and what we've said for consciousness for Eastern philosophy and other spiritual traditions. But skeptics said, well, living systems are too warm, wet, and noisy. Quantum coherence is destroyed by decoherence. But in the last 5 years, multiple lines of evidence, starting with photosynthesis, have shown that quantum coherence occurs in warm biological systems routinely. And the plants, the food we eat, all depend on quantum coherence. Plants absorbing photons, converting to chemical energy, utilizing quantum coherence. Also, recently, Anirban Bandyapati at the National Institute of Material Sciences in Japan has shown that there's megahertz coherence, quantum conductance, and
So that's this this paper, or this is a review. I'm not even sure it's by him, but it's just a Science Daily article, so it's not even the paper. So we'll read this now. So so this is 20 years on from the controversy about whether things could have this coherence in the warm, wet, and wild conditions that we associate with biology. So, a review and update of controversial 20-year-old theory of consciousness published in Physics of Life Reviews claims that consciousness derives from deeper level, finer scale activities inside brain neurons. The recent discovery of quantum vibrations in microtubules inside brain neurons corroborates this theory, according to review authors Stuart Hameroff and Sir Roger Penrose. They suggest that EEG brain rhythms also derive from deeper level microtubule vibrations, and that from a practical standpoint, treating brain microtubule vibrations could benefit a host of mental, neurological, and cognitive conditions. The theory, called orchestrated objective reduction, was first put forward in the mid-90s by eminent mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose, mathematical and Stuart Hameroff. They suggested that quantum vibrational computations in microtubules were orchestrated by synaptic inputs and memory stored in microtubules and terminated by Penrose objective reduction, hence OR. Microtubules are major components of the cell structural skeleton. OR was harshly criticised from its inception as the brain was considered too warm, wet and noisy, seemingly delicate quantum processes. However, evidence has now shown warm quantum coherence in plant photosynthesis, bird brain navigation, a sense of swell, and brain microtubules. The recent discovery of warm temperature quantum vibrations in microtubules inside brain neurons by the research group led by Anirban Bando, however you say that name, the National Institute of Material Sciences in Tsukuba, Japan, now at MIT, corroborates the pair's theory and suggests that EEG rhythms also derive from deeper level microtubule vibrations. In addition, work from the laboratory of Robert G. Eckenhoff, MD at the University of Pennsylvania, suggests that anesthesia, which selectively erases consciousness while sparing non-conscious brain activity, acts via microtubules in brain neurons. The origin of consciousness reflects our place in the universe, the nature of our existence. Did consciousness evolve from complex computations among brain neurons, as most scientists assert, or has consciousness in some sense been here all along, as spiritual approaches maintain? Now, I think both can be true to an extent, and this type of thinking and writing is it's a very blunt way of looking and trying to interpret the data. And again, this plays into what I'm trying to say to people with respect to if there's an issue going on, don't go to. So we're reading Science Daily, so at least it's probably somewhat on point. But if you know you're going to go to an editorialized source, and even journals can be editorialized, right? That's the thing. But you have to read as much around it, and then probably somewhere around the middle is where you want to be with respect to sort of each theory itself. So let's move on. So let's talk about spiritual approaches. So ask Hameroff and Penrose in the current review. This opens a potential Pandora's box, but our theory accommodates both these views, suggesting consciousness derives from quantum vibrations in microtubules, protein polymers inside brain neurons, which both govern neuronal and synaptic function and connect brain processes to self-organizing processes in the fine-scale, proto-conscious quantum structure of reality. Now, all well and good, but again, there's this issue with can they really demonstrate? They can see the coherence, but is that consciousness, right? So a good analogy to think of is the quantum computing, right? And this is where I think that they've hit a technical brick wall with the computing, is that they have these quantum superposition states, okay, but is it conscious, right? Is the quantum computer conscious because it has these qubits that can go into these superposition states and start sort of extracting information and energy, right? Information, energy from these different superposition computations, and then settle on something approximating the correct answer to the algorithm that it's trying to run. Now, I would suggest that the computer is not conscious, and I don't think that the microtubulin is conscious either, right? There's something that's missing in both aspects, right? It might be a way of putting forward the idea that, yeah, there's a complexity in biology that we don't fully grasp, but what is that complexity, and where does it become emergent at the scale that makes sense to us? Right? If I reached in and took a neuron out of your brain, okay, and I kept it alive, okay, I don't think that neuron is conscious in the way that you would be conscious with your brain body intact, okay? And I'm for sure as shit, right? If we poke you with a pin, okay, the disembodied neuron, I would argue, and they make claims that, or the chemist dude does, that they've done these experiments. We'll dig into that. That they've shown that these cells react simultaneously across the world, right? If you separate them, so that's part of the bonkers science that we'll get into. But let's finish this article. It's short. So after 20 years of skeptical criticism, the evidence now clearly supports ORC-OR, continued Hammeroff and Penrose. Our new paper updates the evidence, clarifies ORC-OR quantum bits, or qubits, as helical pathways in microtubule lattices, rebuts critics, and reviews 20 testable predictions of ORC-OR published in 1998. Of these, 6 are confirmed and none refuted. Well, the refutation is have you got consciousness, or is it the fallback point, a correlate of consciousness? And in that case, it's an action potential is a correlate. All you're doing is that you're looking at processes in a system and reductively breaking it down and saying, aha, it must be happening here, okay? And it's not that I intrinsically object to it. The problem I have with it is, like I say, people that sort of take it, misinterpret it, and think that there's this quantum field that permeates everything, and that we all are hooked into that, such that we feel everything instantaneously. And for sure as shit, that's not how reality works, right? So a important new facet of the theory is introduced. Microtubule quantum vibrations in the megahertz appear to interfere and produce much slower EEG beat frequencies. Despite a century of clinical use, the underlying origins of EEG rhythms have remained a mystery. Clinical trials of brief brain stimulation aimed at microtubule resonance with megahertz mechanical vibrations using transcranial ultrasound have shown reported improvements in mood and may prove useful against Alzheimer's disease and brain injury in the future. Now, I've heard about these studies, and again, what I would say is let's just see if it pans out in the literature, right? And it's a let's see. I want to find a paper. Focused ultrasound and Alzheimer's. Let's see what we have. A review. we have to see who's doing the review and where they're coming from, and we have to gather the evidence. Focused ultrasound and Alzheimer's disease, a systematic review. How old are you? 2018, not too bad. Results. 15 original studies were selected. Preclinical trials were able to reduce amyloid beta plaques and tau phosphorylation, improving cognitive performance in AD animals. The results are very promising, but the therapy still requires maturation. Further studies are needed to systemize all the techniques used and their effects in order to enable use in humans. Yeah, so that's animal models and people. This is the translation problem in science. So let's see. Ultrasound, Alzheimer's. Try rough. And my guess is we're probably not going to see that much. Okay, whatever that is. It's a big paper. Let's see. 5th International Symposium on Focused Ultrasound, North Bethesda. And, you know, I remember work many years ago sort of trying to claim ultrasound could be used for Parkinson's. Didn't pan out. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that leaps out off a broad search of ultrasound and Alzheimer's in PubMed, right? So, you know, I'm guessing that it's all very highfalutin theories, but dang, you hit this experimental brick wall. So let's listen to him talk. And
Topological qubits in microtubules at room temperature. Very exciting work. Quantum biology papers, conferences are popping up like flowers in the spring. Sessions at the American Physical Society, recently at Google, the Google Workshop on Quantum Biology, and elsewhere. So, how is this going to save the world? Let's go back to our threats to the world and consider the first one, overcrowding, hatred, wars, and terrorism. Now, that's a tough one. We'll save that for last. We'll come back to that. Okay, disease. Jeff mentioned a little bit about this, but if life is a quantum system, we can ask, how is quantum coherence optimized in a healthy state? We have a different endpoint to shoot for. We can consider disease as decoherence. Disease is a process that tends to destroy quantum coherence, which is the optimal form of living systems. Also, a real-time molecular code for memory, cognition, and consciousness can be co-opted for therapy. So in the microtubules that I mentioned, there's an information code that tells motor proteins where to deliver proteins, precursors for synapses, tau proteins. And when this goes bad, we have Alzheimer's disease. And a molecule called CAMK2 seems to take synaptic information and deposit it in microtubules in a memory code. And I think this is going to be the equivalent in real-time coding of the DNA code that was discovered by Watson and Crick. And when we can take advantage of it...
Yeah, so again, massive leaps in logic there, and, you know, me sort of doing the science here is, you know, an ultrasound transducer is not hard to get. You can make one yourself. I would have thought we'd be seeing much more. Let's see. Let's find the caveat here. Although promising focused ultrasound for Alzheimer's still in its very early stages, next steps to do larger studies in more patients. Yep, and this is always the thing that for Tourette syndrome and trying to use DBS, which was basically my career devotion. The problem was without animal models, there was no way to test this therapy in any meaningful way to say, could it help kids with Tourette syndrome? And it wasn't until the monkey model was demonstrated that we could say, okay, there's something worth pursuing here. And in that respect, I would say that deep brain stimulation still sits out way in front of these more sort of fringe therapies. So, but let's see. Play.
We'll be able to treat diseases by interfacing and connecting to the real-time molecular code inside cells. Okay, the next question. How can quantum biology save the world lack of food and energy? Highly efficient quantum conductance, converting sunlight to chemical energy used in photosynthesis, which has been proven, should be able to be emulated in substances like graphenes and fullerenes to revolutionize molecular
Bing! Buy your fullerene oils.
agriculture and solar power. Mohammed Saravar, UC Berkeley, is working in this direction. He's one of the people working in photosynthesis. Okay, pollution and warming. The same answer. Extremely efficient, clean solar energy with quantum conductance can potentially help us a lot in terms of pollution and warming. Okay, what about lack of purpose and meaning? Who are we and why are we here? Well, if quantum consciousness is correct, if, for example, the Penrose idea is correct, we are literally ripples in the fine structure of space-time geometry, which can resonate, levels of consciousness can resonate from the Planck scale, the bottom level of the universe, multiple hierarchical levels to the brain. This is consistent with Eastern philosophy and also indicates that afterlife, reincarnation, and out-of-body experiences that we've heard about are plausible.
So, again, you know, there is a discussion to be had around the metaphysics of consciousness, and you know, where does it come from? But I would fall back to the metaphor that I was using: is the quantum computer, the qubit, whatever, the D wave, is that conscious? I'm pretty sure it isn't, and I'm pretty sure that they're stuck as to why they're not seeing consciousness once they've got their super enhanced or super high-tech quantum qubits floating and operating in all these different states. And the inverse applies to the humans as well. So I saw Paul as a Jesuit, so I don't know. Do we have people even watching? Am I streaming? See, again, I've lost YouTube comments. So, YouTube, where's Discord? So, is this working? So we're not sending to YouTube, so I can't see my YouTube comments, and oh, YouTube is turning up here. So, this seems 2020, so I wanted to have a look at this. Great, so. Focused ultrasound for non-invasive focal pharmacologic neurointervention. So, a long-standing goal of translational neuroscience is the ability to non-invasively deliver therapeutic agents to specific brain regions. Yeah, so this is a different thing to what they're talking about, which is being able to resonate. So they want to resonate microtubulin such that entanglements will fall apart and it will cohere again into functional structures, thus restoring brain activity. This is different. This is delivering drugs that are targeted and then using ultrasound to activate the drug in an area of active area of the brain. And this it's not new, them talking about this way of treating for Alzheimer's, and I would expect to see more data, right? Let's see if we can. Come on, you. What's this? Mouse place and see about animal platform heads up what chance to receive MRI coil, which sound was coupled to the brain from tank via water bag. Chance to do something. Alright, what's this paper? Ultrasound enhanced delivery of yes. Yeah, so again, this is not what they're talking about. This is something different. So this is a way to release drugs. So there's nothing coming out from the theorem. So this is the translation problem. Okay, there is no there's no way to validate it. Okay, and I don't care how many so I'm presuming Cracker is in the chat right now, so but anyway, let's let him finish off. And again, this is you can give him credit for coming up with a theorem and some predictions from it, and even I've seen something that looks like an approximate emergence of a physiological EEG type rhythm between the two deep nuclei of the basal ganglia, the nucleus accumbens, and but I think we're long way from being able to have anything approximating a proper a fuller understanding. Now, he wants to talk about the Eastern view of reincarnation and you know, a not well-known thing is that sort of Kabbalistic Jews, they see the world as being one of reincarnation. Okay, that you keep just the soul just keeps going round. This is kind of heaven, I would say, in the metaphysical sense, and then their sort of view is to sort of, it's not quite the reincarnation as you'd sort of understand it from Buddhist or Shinto type religions, but there is a lot of overlap. That Christianity differs a lot, and so does Islam.
Quantum soul. This may be scientifically feasible. Here's a picture of an out-of-body experience. I work in medicine and anesthesiology. We hear stories about this all the time. Statistical examinations of people having cardiac arrest show it's a real effect, and the near-death experience is something that really needs to be studied. Okay, let's go to the tough one. Overcrowding, hatred, wars, and terrorism. I would suggest that these are caused largely by drives, internal drives, for conscious feelings, sexual pleasure, fear, anger, salvation. It's a bit simplified, but what if conscious quantum coherence in the brain could be optimally tuned, for example, by ultrasound at resonant frequencies for brain microtubules? What if instead of needing to have aggression or sexual attitudes, that somebody could have pleasure without going to all the trouble? For example, a recent... Thank you. A recent approach is using transcranial ultrasound, which vibrates microtubules at resonant frequencies. And Jamie Tyler at Arizona State University just got a big grant from the military to study ultrasound brain-machine interfaces for military applications, with a promise for many applications in medicine and psychiatry. And we at the University of Arizona are applying this to chronic pain and memory and some other problems. I would mention that many of these issues, the near-death and out-of-body experiences, the backward time effects that can rescue consciousness from epiphenomenalism, and transcranial therapies, transcranial magnetic, transcranial electrical, and transcranial ultrasound therapies will be discussed at this conference in Stockholm next May, Toward the Science of Consciousness. Roger Penrose and Deepak Chopra on the same program. And another possibility for this last problem is, what if consciousness could be uploaded or quantum teleported even to artificial media made of graphene, fullerene, or microtubule arrays, with near infinite possibilities for enhanced, enlightened states of consciousness and pleasure? This could be, and it would have to be able to work, to be better than sex. Now, is that possible? Well, this kind of goes back to an idea of Descartes, who said that perhaps, as far as we know, we are merely a brain in a vat, fed information by an evil genius. For example, this brain who thinks he or she is walking outside in the sun. So maybe in the future we'll have some kind of graphene arrays with some kind of conscious experience, maybe something like this. Maybe you can come up with your own. It's just a suggestion, where perhaps when our bodies give out, we can upload or download our consciousness to some alternative medium and exist independently, or just do it for fun. So to conclude, I want to say that I believe that quantum biology is literally the secret of life, and its understanding may save the world. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Hammeroff. When was this one? 2011. Let's just see if there's something in the last year where we can see if he's got something. I've lived as a man and a woman. Here's what I learned. Jesus. Let's hope the trains come for you. Well, no. First off, let's just listen to the psychobabble that comes out now. So now you have some sort of understanding of the ORC-OR model as it relates to this idea of emergent consciousness, and I've tried to sort of relay some of the weaknesses in the theory. Now let's listen to this butchering and them grifting this C60 oil as being able, helping you resonate at your quantum level.
And when you're not, so it's not. So it acts like a quantum computer, and they actually mapped out the microtubule, and it's like I think it's a base 8 system. It's not binary. It's base 8. So it's interesting that how they map out the actual microtubule. So you have some microtubule. It depends on the microtubule you're looking.
So again, it's right in that it depends on what type of microtubule you're looking at. There's not it's not this clean theorem that translates really well to the real world.
Looking at, but some microtubules will have 2 centers, and then I think there's 9 doublets. So you have 9 doublets, and then maybe a 1 doublet in the center. But the way it's structured, he's claiming as a quantum computer, and then you have, I don't know what is it, in the billions? I don't know, per cell.
I say it wouldn't bother me if it was just people chatting down the pub, but this is people trying to grift you sketchy products and trying to sort of claim some expertise in areas, and this is just wrong on so many levels.
Per neuron?
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge amounts of numbers. So the point he's making is that computers today won't reach the level of the brain for many, many more years than the standard, quote, binary theorists of neuroscience believe. because each neuron is thousands, if not millions of times more computation than just the standard on-off per neuron. So if we have
Right, it hurts me, guys. I hope you realise what I'm taking here for the team to be able to listen to this gibberish. So, Drell is a NanoMap. Yeah, Virgil was. We need Fullerine's stat. Let me just sort of catch up with some comments because Discord is not. Silver used as an antipathogen has been used for a long time. Does anyone know the mechanism of how it works? Yeah, it's an oxidizing agent, right? So it's a silver plus ion in solution, and then it starts grabbing charge and then breaks down cell membrane. So the idea that you're going to put in silver and it's just going to attack the pathogen and not the the biological material is nonsense. But it's to do with the silver ion, and the ion has charge and it pulls electrons to it to sort of neutralize, and in so doing breaks down the walls of structures. So of AG. So the results demonstrate that antimicrobial particles of nanosilver is due to the synergistic action of released dissolved silver ions and particle-specific effects. The proteomic analysis of silver binding and silver-regulated proteins in the present study provides insight into the mechanism of antimicrobial activity of such nanomaterials. And yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say, is that its charge will attack. Why can't we get that bigger? Its charge will attack cell walls, etc. So let's see. In this study, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a model for gram-negative bacteria, was treated with silver nanoparticles, and its proteomic response. So proteomic is basically a way of capturing the what the cell is expressing under a particular environment in terms of protein production. Okay, and you can do genomics, etc. It's a very powerful science, actually. In total, 59 silver-regulated proteins, 27 up-regulated and 32 down-regulated proteins, and 5 silver-binding proteins were identified. Bioinformatic analysis revealed that interface with the cell membrane function and generation of intracellular reactive oxygen species were the main pathways for the antibacterial effect. So, yeah, this is the charge. This is why they have to sell you buckyballs, right? To counterbalance the reactive effect of the silver in the cell. So, buyer beware, I would say. But there's no doubt that it's antibacterial. But the safety of it, if you're taking it sort of long term, as these people suggest, right? They're even talking about sort of nebulizing it and having it go into your lung tissue, right? And to think that that ion is going to selectively hit a bacteria rather than your cell walls, you need to probably get a better grip of understanding biology, physics, and chemistry.
80 billion neurons on off. Then that shows kind of like the with all those ons and offs, that's a lot of computational power. But Hammeroff and Penrose is basically saying, no, it's 80 billion times another billion.
Hi, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, how are you?
Because each cell has billions of computations, and that would explain why the cell is doing so many things at the same time. It's just that there's a lot of computation going on in the cell, and it's through these.
Yeah, painful. Cracker was no, he should be in. We've let Cracker back. Some nanosilver is coated with a plastic. He's a girl. Would he wear a Superman costume? Princess Katrina. The fine print where it says not to be taken internally got mixed. Yeah, sounds like he's discovered number one. I don't know what number one is, but what are we looking at? What you think? Dr. Joe Dispenza. All right, let's just see what.
Hi. Good morning.
I smell grift straight away. But
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm in the right place. My dear friend Dawson Church is a jewel, isn't he? I want you to turn to the person next to you. I want you to look them in the eye, and I want you to introduce yourself as a genius. Let's begin. But yes or no? And what if, then, you decided, what thoughts do I want to put my attention behind? Let me review them, how a great person would think. What would be the internal dialogue they would have? And you began to fire and wire those circuits in your brain. And if you did that a few times, you would begin to install some circuits in your brain, yes or no? And if you kept thinking that way, firing and wiring, the hardware would become a software program, yes or no? And who knows? In your waking day, you may start thinking like a great person. Because the circuits are there, yes or no? Yes. And if you said, I'm going to master this day, one lifetime, how would an unlimited person live today? And you began to rehearse in your mind who you were going to be before you opened your eyes. The act of rehearsing mentally, when you're truly present, your brain does not know the difference between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. And all of a sudden, you begin to install more circuits in your brain, priming it.
It's just psychobabble. Look, man, I'm all for positive thinking, okay? Believe in yourself, right? These are all good traits to have, okay? But this sort of pseudoscience approach to self-improvement is, it's as old as snake oil itself, right? Just look at that's partly where sort of religious practice comes from, and like I say, there's some element to it, but is buying Dr. Joe Dispenza's book gonna help you? No, I don't think so. Like, you want my advice, right? Some of the best things that you could do, and I don't do it enough, is just probably unplug from the PCs, get out in nature, and this idea of being one and present. You don't need to be sitting there in the lotus position and saying to yourself. Okay, there's a very overinflated sense of what meditation and being in these mindful practices is. Yes, we can recognize the states of meditation, yes, they're good for your health. Are you gonna start this type of sort of manifesting and this, I don't know, these sort of self-belief? I was listening to something. Someone posted a link the other day. Yes, I want to say it was yesterday. It was in the Discord, but basically it was a couple speaking, and I think it was about Lebanon, and they were saying there's so much negativity, and the woman was like, "Don't get taken in by it. Walk away, and you will sit down and meditate on a love vibration to heal all around you." And if you think that sitting down and meditating out a love vibration is gonna heal you, that's when the packs of wolves come and eat you. Okay, so there's a sort of time and place for each one of these practices, and I think if you're buying it and going for it because you want to manifest yourself wealth, etc., you probably, the reasons for doing those type of practices have been lost on you in the first place. So he's welcome back as far as I know, but yeah, he's quiet. He should be in. Well, he said he was locked in quarantine. So he's in quarantine anyway. Member and cool demoted academics. So and welcome Free Dragon Star. So you know, there's, I don't know why it gets amplified so much in the United States. And like I said, I've told this story before, but well, one, you get these sort of conferences, you get the sort of super church phenomenon, and you get this, you get drugs, pharmaceutical drugs advertised on TV, and I can just remember just being sort of stunned that they could do that, and basically sort of list off a bunch of symptoms, pretty much like Cottrell is doing, and saying, "Ah, you should buy this product, right? And ask your doctor for Paxil, and you will be on top of the world," right? And it's literally the same thing. So it's all the same process of selling you stuff, right? It's buying into the system with the exchange, etc., and of course, sometimes you need medicines, but I don't think going on primetime sort of cable networks and, you know, shaking a box of Prozac and saying, "Ah, this is what you need," is the model we should be aiming for. So, but you just love people that string together any old buzzwords. Yeah, it's cringe, I guess. Sort of sounded like Krispy Kreme salesman. Ellie, Deepak. I used to love his books in the early. Sorry, Deepak Chopra. Yeah, the pyramid schemes. That's how it looks to me, and the those are fluorine salespeople. Yeah, close. These men are insane. Virgil says, by the, oh, like a god, you don't believe, Kevin. Virgil, they are free. So says the song, but if you are, yes, if you're godlike. I think, like I say, if you're going around thinking you're God's chosen people, God might just have a problem with that, I would imagine. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, I just have my own little corner to deal with. It's getting more bid than it deeps. Not sure what that means. It's getting more big than deeps. Well, all people need is laying on of hands. Well, I'm not sure about that, but there's just a element of con around this, and for sure he has a book. So let's just see. And what is he a doctor in? Right. We've all experienced a moment of bliss where we felt like the opportunities were limitless.
Most people, though, when you do that, when you decide to really take a look, it's like lighting a match in a dark place. So you feel uncomfortable. So it's easier to turn on your TV. It's easier to play with your cell phone to distract yourself from those feelings. Well, when you understand that change really requires becoming uncomfortable to a certain degree, and that's normal, that you're leaving the known and you're stepping into the unknown, then it begs the question, what thoughts do you want to fire? If you believe that you're creating your life and you're living by lack, well, lack is going to create abundance, right? So if you can, get ready, because something weird or unusual, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to land in your lap, and you didn't have to go and get it. Yes, it came to you.
Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. I'm Ed Milet, and this is the first...
Right.
First time in the history of the show we've had a return guest. And the reason that we've had this return guest is because you've requested more of this man, and also because selfishly, I want to be around him more. This is my dear friend. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza, everybody.
Hey,
Joe,
man.
thank you for being here.
So happy to be with you, Ed.
It's going to be so great today. As most of you know, Joe is a lecturer, he's an author, he's a neuroscientist, he's an expert, I think, on the mind and body connection. He's lectured in 35 different countries plus 5 different continents, and he's one of the most sought after speakers in the world. And I really think he's become the expert. I think you bridge science and spirituality better than anybody walking on earth right now.
Oh, thank you.
And I know my audience felt that way from the first time that you were with us too. So you're also a ratings grabber, by the way. So that's the other reason we're having you back today. This man, everybody wants to hear more from him. He's hot, and there's a reason for it because there's really nobody like him in the world. So let's dig in. You ready?
I'm ready.
Guys, heavy note-taking day. So we're going to lay some foundational stuff here, and then we're going to get to some stuff towards the middle and the end that is literally going to blow your mind and change your life. And that's why I've asked Joe back today. So let's talk about some basic stuff today first. Lay the foundation. Nothing with you is basic, but what is the power of thought? Because we talk about this all the time. This in personal development today, everyone's talking about you got to control your thoughts and control your habits and all these things. And there's a baseline message about that. But you're the best in the world explaining exactly why this is so important. So give us some background there.
Yeah, I think if everything starts with a thought. I mean, everything that you do in your life, you have to have a thought before you initiate an action, right? So if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your
Wow, I would pick that apart in the first minute, right? There are some things that don't involve thought, right? You something comes at you from the corner of your mind. There are reflexes; those are not thoughts, okay? And a lot of the time, you're engaged in reflexive type action because you're having to navigate an environment. So first off, 0 points there.
destiny. Like any great leader in history understands that. The first thing you have to do is you have to decide, are you going to be defined by a vision of the future, or are you going to live by the memories of the past? So, I'll give you an example. Most people wake up in the morning, and your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment, right? It's a memory bank. So most people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems, and those problems are connected to certain people and things at certain times and places. And the moment they start turning on those circuits, those memories are actually causing them to think in the past. Every single one of those memories has an emotion associated with them, and emotions are the end product of past experiences. So then the moment they recall the event or the
Psychobabble. I want to get to the end. What's the
program, because you wake up every morning and do the exact same thing, and now I'm going to make you sit, just like say to an animal. You sit. You stay, and your body's going to say, I'm going to die, my bladder's going to explode, I need a coffee, I got a lot of emails to do. That's the program. And you say to your body, today we do battle. Today, this is it. And you sit through that, and you make your way, even though your body's trying to get up, and you keep settling it back down. I'm telling you, when you start your day that day, you will be more kind, more loving, less judgmental, more patient, more present, because you're mastering the present moment. That means you're not in the predictable future. You're not in the familiar past. You're mastering time. And so then, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention is in the present moment, you've got a lot of energy to do amazing things. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not.
The big dude looks a bit of a homo to me, but yeah, these are just like the motivational speakers of any sort of sales thing, right? It's like that dude that used to come out with what was his name? He'd come out from Microsoft, and he'd just be, people used to just meme the fuck out of him because he was he'd have this sort of crazy attitude of like, yes, we're gonna do this, go, and no items found. Let's just see if this man has anything approximating a academic or understanding of neuroscience. I smell drift. Biosyntropy. Okay. Shipping policies. Oh god. Alright. Just show me something that amounts to uh-oh, he's got a pineal gland book. Get out your turpentine, guys. No. Good old NCBI infomercials, yeah. Last from Metallica looks sick. TV. Oh yeah, master of brain activity. His postgraduate training covered neurology, neuroscience, brain function, and chemistry. Cellular biology. He received a BS from Evergreen State University and his Doctor of Chiropractic degree. It had to be, man. And look, man, don't get me wrong. Like a good chiropractor is something to have, right, in your life. If you've got, you're all knotted up, you've hurt your back. There's nothing like going there and having the hands of a good skilled chiropractor pop stuff back into place. Let's see. Never need Beavis would grow up and give me advice. Wasn't the same guy who was talking about mermaid living in the ocean? I have no idea. He's so wise he forgot he's born. He's a chiropractor. Yeah, we got that. I had the purpose for chance and almost to vibrate, open up and stimulate the pineal gland. Maybe, I don't know. Show me the studies. Anyone new here, share the stream, get your normie friends to join conversation with my wife. Ask Kevin questions. Yeah, you can ask me questions, anything you like. I hear you, Kevin. I know very well, good, personally, a Joe Dispenza. I hear you, Kev, and I know very good and personally a Joe Dispenza. You know Joe Dispenza? Let's see. Amex here, Pedersen got Rona. Is it true? Dr. Pedersen was banned from Africa when said to have helped Ebola patients. I have no proof other than articles. Put your feet in a river, cook a dog on the fire, set you free. Yeah, that's probably about where you want to be. And alkaline structured nanosilver is fully eliminated from the body every 12 hours. I've only heard Dr. Peterson has made this claim. Look, you can find enough papers online that just shows the bioaccumulation of nanosilver. We've done it multiple times. It's not this safe drink that they make it out to be. But okay, so we've got it that he's a chiropractor. I want to see if he's done anything that would approximate the claims of his postdoctoral training. And Jig's doing yeoman's work in the chat. I heard healthy human cells and good bacteria have phospholipid bilayers that prevent silver from destroying them. No, the silver will attack the phospholipid bilayer, right? Because it's an ion and it's got this charge, right? So charge looks to sort of equalize in an environment, and if it finds that it can embed something to make it more stable, it will produce. It then sort of kicks off this free radical process. So yeah. Well, the thing is, even if you're banned, I think he can still see the text. So and all cells have all eukaryotic cells have phospholipid bilayers, right? That's the cell membrane, right? And functionally, it's no different between a cardiac cell, a intestinal cell, or a neuron. The phospholipid bilayer is the same physical structure, and it's the same physical structure in bacteria. And actually, bacteria often tend to have a sort of a wall around the phospholipid bilayer to give them a bit more robustness. Buy my book on the way out. Yeah, they're insane. I think I've sort of catched up with it. So nanosilver will do to lipid bilayer what xenon does to rubber balloon membranes. I've never seen what xenon does to rubber balloon membranes, but isn't xenon a noble gas? It shouldn't do anything. He's doing live brain reading during meditation with new machine. I don't know exactly, but very new. Please give us a link, Transtrom. Let's have a look. Let me have a look. Yeah, welcome back, Linda. Well, some can help with copycat line. Listen here is like therapy, calm, rational sessions. Thank you, Linda. I like to get go. Well, like I say, I want to know where people are saying that silver, it's an ion, right, that you're dealing with, and that has physical properties that are generally repeatable, and we know that it will attack and kill microbial life and denature protein and viruses, and it will do the same to your tissue as well. Okay, chlorine kills viruses. Okay, and drinking chlorine will kill your cells, right? So there was that scam with the guys that were selling MMS. Was it something like that? MMS, MSM, MMS scam, MSM. But it's basically like bleach, right? MMS. All right, so let's just read the Wikipedia, right? But there was some great, some great imagery, right? So these people who basically they'd set themselves up as a church and had said that this bleach product was part of the sacrament for healing and prayer, right? And I mean, brilliant way of sort of getting round the FDA, I suppose. Right? But they sort of sell these cute little bottles of MMS solution, and then they raided them, right? And they showed the images of the big industrial barrels that they'd bought from the from the bulk suppliers, probably from China, and it was just the fact that people would be so gullible as to drink, as to not investigate what it is, and then just think twice about, well, should I be eating it or drinking it, right, to improve my health, right? And the Trumptini, the new drink for liberals because they believe every word that MSM takes out of context. Population control. But again, there's every one of these people that I click on and you listen to just get nuttier and nuttier. And when I think back to the beginning, when I should have done my due diligence, but when I was sort of trying to figure out what was going on with SARS, and I'd done my investigations, and I saw the only person that was really talking about it online in any meaningful sense was Paul. So you've got to give him props for that. But then he just started going off the reservation, and so as what happened with Judy Mikovits, he just basically got steamrollered by her, and without putting up any sort of rebuttal to her claims. And it just needs a bit of what do you think about swimming in chlorinated public pools? Feels toxic if I have to swim in one. Yeah, I mean, I don't go swimming in public pools. It's gross. My co-worker said thousands of people died because Trump said to drink disinfectants. Did people die? Because, I mean, are people that dumb? I don't know. And maybe. I mean, there's people prepared to pay hundreds of dollars for fullerene, right? That you can buy for $40-$60 a gram. And 99.9% CAS rated. It's look at the size of their fullerene buckets. Right? They're huge. And it's the same with nano silver, right? You can buy nano silver in bulk solution, right, with sort of 50,000 parts. No, t-shirt. You can even buy clothes with nano silver in. That's nice. But this, especially in a pandemic type situation where people are spooked to the max, right now. So you can have 5,000 parts per million, $80 for 20 liters, right? And these people want to sell you like 20 mils for $80, right? This is how bizarre this whole situation is, and people are buying this stuff up in the belief that it's going to get them through the worst excesses of the pandemic. And there was people that were saying, I think it might have been one of like Paul's streams where he was saying, look, we've got these squirty bottles, right, where you can load up with the nano silver and you can spray down surfaces and wipe down, so you can go out with your own antiseptic silver, and but we even sell the squirty bottles like this, right? So you can buy fancy bottles off Alibaba. This one $5, so I guess that's an extra fancy one. And then they would look. You can buy 10,000 part per million, 6 nanometer disinfectant, nano silver. Amazing. Well, like I say, I don't know how much more I can sort of re-emphasize and sort of cut that point. And that's such a awkward frame. Look, he's looking at himself in the screen. Can you see that? Let's see, I'll catch up on the questions and let's see, what's this? Oops. Don't do that. Back, please. Don't do that. I've zoomed in my... that's better. A bit bigger, please. Alright, what do you think about... answered that one. My co-worker said 1,000. I answered that one. Blame you for that. Will damage your skin. Common sense, be careful, yeah. This guy is done for sure, not sure about everyone else. Q is awful, so awful. Yeah, I agree. So you can get on the web easily. The common thread seems to be they want us full of salt and metals, battery. Yeah, that's the critical point here. So, if anyone is new here, and still 56 people watching, I've been going some time now, but Google. So I've shown you. Let's bring up the PowerPoint. So. Moved? What? Why? Open that. Alright, so I've shown you guys that there are these experiments where they're doing gain of function in neurons. Okay? And that's this, right? Carbon nanotubes improve neuronal circuits performance by favoring electrical shortcuts, right? My advice would be, do not put these carbon nanotubes into your body, okay? If cells become too excitable, right, and fire too easily, that's you're basically giving yourself epileptiform seizure, okay? And with that, we then need to look at Tesla-phoresis, and this was new to me, right? I didn't know about this. Let's see this one, right? So these carbon fibers, right? These little tubes, balls, etc., have these very unusual properties, which fundamental. You can see here, and this is like legit neuroscience, right? This is being done right now, and I would steer clear of anything that would want to put these sorts of materials into my God-given body. Okay, as much as I have abused it as a temple, I still want to squeeze a few extra years out of it, and I don't think that putting silver or nano materials into my brain is the way to go. And this, you're going to see why.
What we've designed, and we've done this very, very quietly, but we're glad to now release it to the world, is this idea of Tesla-phoresis, which is a discovery we made several years ago, and we've been developing it. And Tesla-phoresis is, the simplest way to understand it is self-assembly at a distance, just long-distance assembly of materials.
Long-distance assembly of materials.